Hello everyone. Sorry, I think I was on mute. Yeah. So hope everyone can hear me well. Okay. Okay, friends. Good morning, everyone. So hope you all enjoyed a good vacation yesterday, and others from other locations. Okay. So Shantini, I had some audio issues yesterday. I couldn't interact yesterday. I attended and listened the entire session. Yeah, Shantini, I saw your feedback comments yesterday, and it was mentioned that there was some audio issues. Now I'm able to get your messages as well, Shantini. Hope it is fixed now. Okay. Okay, and thanks for the feedback. Okay, friends. So today we will begin with the from yesterday's continuation. So yesterday, did you all get a chance to check the quiz or some assignments or whatever which was available there for the module 1? So you had a chance to check that. I hope everyone have joined now. I think we can begin the session as it's 7 minutes. So I think we shall start now. Okay, Shantini is asking, I'm still muted. Is that how the session works? No, not like that, Shantini. If you had any questions, you can, for any of the smaller questions like yes, no, kind of, and also something which can be asked in a IM conversation, that we will be having it over the chat. For some questions wherein you need to share your screen or you are facing some issues or something you need to speak to me, at that point of time you can let me know. I can unmute you. So by default the system will mute all the participants there. I can unmute anyone there and so that you can speak. So even that is possible. So if you want to, I can unmute you. Okay, sure, love, not a problem. Thank you, Shantini and Chandu. I started looking at the assignment just an hour ago. Yeah, no problem, Chandu. You can look into that because we will be starting with the other module. So we haven't completed the first module yet. So it should be appropriate after we finish. If you had a chance to check that, that should be fine. Yeah. So yesterday we were seeing about what was Tableau and what are some of the features, the comparison between the other tools. And we just got introduced to Tableau yesterday and what are some of the features that we have within Tableau. But that was just a very small introduction about Tableau. But today we will be seeing in depth about what is Tableau and how it is working in the background and how things are looking. So before moving into the architecture, we are going to see about the architecture of Tableau desktop and also about the Tableau server. Okay. Both the architectures we are going to see here. So yesterday we were discussing about the ETL process. So as you can see, there are two different layers out here. One is for Tableau desktop and the other one is for the Tableau server. So these two are separate things. Okay, they are into separate things and the mechanism by which they work are also something separate. But however, there is similarity between Tableau desktop and server, but something extra we have within Tableau server. We will be seeing that. Okay. So before moving on to this architecture, I wish to open Tableau. Yesterday, since we just saw something on Tableau, just an introduction screen, I'll open my Tableau desktop. I'll first show you what are the things that are there. So yesterday we just glanced through what is this extract connection and the live connection. But maybe today will be, if time permits, we'll see extract in detail, how it is working and how things are. Okay. So friends, before starting this session, I would like you all to download the course contents from this module 1. So there is something called module 1 dataset. Can you all download that module 1 dataset, friends? and save it in your system somewhere. We'll be using the module 1 dataset at least for next couple of modules. Okay, Samir is done. Sales and products, yeah, Sandhu, that's right. That's right. Friends, there are 2 files there. Others who haven't downloaded, please download those datasets and keep it ready. So we will be using those for this module. Okay. So under module 1, let me show you that. Just a minute. So here we have under this module 1. So under module 1, if you go, there is something called our LMS screen, that is edureka.co. So you should log in into that. After logging in, there is something called course contents. So inside the course contents, there we have something called module 1 dataset. I want you all to download this module 1 dataset. So the one where I'm keeping my mouse cursor, this place, I want you to download this. Okay. Yeah. So after we download this, what we'll do, we'll first see and establish a connection there. Okay. So we'll establish a connection to that module. So what is the file contents in that module 1, friends? So we had this part, right? Like in the module 1 data set, we had like 2 things. One is the basic connection, next is the cross join. So let me open the basic connection, and there is something called sample superstore.xls. Are you all able to see the same file, friends? Because I have downloaded it sometime in the month of May. I think the file is one and the same. They haven't updated it. That I had downloaded it for my other batches. Okay. Okay, friends. So now what we'll do, we'll just open this file and let's see the contents of this file. Okay, so this one is having 3 separate sheets. This file has 3 separate sheets. Okay, Sagar is having Mac without Microsoft Office. Okay, Sagar, I had seen a couple of issues with some of my other previous batchmates having some issues with Mac OS. That is, the screen in which I am showing and the one what you would have will look slightly different. So I'm not sure if you are going to have a replacement for an Excel file. So how do you generally open an Excel file? Is that, do we have a different software? I think there is a different software in Mac, right? In order to open it. Can you open this Excel file, Sagar? Okay, so maybe you can try opening that Excel file. If you are able to open that Excel file from your Tableau public, I believe you are opening it. I think you can directly establish a connection there from your Tableau public. Okay. Okay, then it's great. That's great. So there might be slightly the difference in the screen in which what I'm sharing with that of, because of the OS, there is a slightly difference, but the slight difference is there, but I think you should get used to that after we move on with a couple of sessions there. Okay. So Prajapati is asking, I missed a lot of session yesterday, so is there any virtual machine to download to? Okay. No, Prajapati. So here if you see, we don't have any virtual machines here. So what we have is, we had yesterday covered the introductory part of the session there. So if you just go there, there is something called class 1 recording which is available there. Can you see here in my screen? After you log into this edureka.co, there is a class 1 recording which is available. You can click on this watch now and to see what we covered yesterday if you had missed something yesterday. So you can see that, and there is no virtual lab available for us. It is like we had installed Tableau desktop, we had installed Tableau public and Tableau reader as well. So if you see that recording, all those three things would be given there, and there is something called the installation file is available, installation guide. You can download this installation guide and install these three softwares. Okay. So after that installation is done, we just got something introduced to Tableau, but we are going to use that files only for connection. Yeah, you can do that. If you still had any other questions, you can let me know. If you are facing any other issues, you let me know. I can help you out. Okay. Okay, friends. So here we had three files. So three files: the orders table, orders, the returns, and people. So why I'm saying it's as a tables is because these three sheets, whatever we are seeing here, will be treated as separate tables in Tableau. So this will not be treated as physical like sheets in Excel. It becomes tables in Tableau. Okay, we are going to see that what. So basically, this superstore is a kind of superstore chain like Walmart or something. And here they have the list of orders and the order ID associated with this. And we have the order date, the shipment date, the customer ID, and these details is available in this file. Similarly, we have some returns. So returns are the orders for which we had returned. So these were the order IDs for which it got returned. And there is a people table. People are something who are working in that superstore. So the information about them that is available, or like a store owners or kind of. Okay. So this is what is the sample data set what we will be using here. So now what we will do, we will try establishing connection to this particular file. So before knowing that, we should know like where this file is available. So this file is available under this location. So I will just go there. What I will do, as I told you yesterday, there are various types of connectors what I need to. So I need to know what source I am going to connect first. So the source what I will be connecting would be an Excel source. So since the file extension is .xls, so it supports all Excel types, XLSX, XLSM, like that. So here what I will do, I'll just go to the dataset, I'll paste my connection here. And there is something called sample superstore.xls. I'll click on open here. So as soon as I open this, can you see a window came just now executing a query. So what query is getting executed? So basically at the background, a physical connection is getting established for me, friends. Connection in the sense, so if as you must be aware, like Tableau is totally a UI based tool. That is like very little SQL knowledge or very little SQL programming you have to do it, because Tableau takes care of everything at the background by itself. So that's the ease of use for this. So whatever which is happening, everything happens at the background. Your SQL queries gets executed at the background. So when in my previous screen, what had happened? They have established a connection with this. Can you see under connections? I'm able to see this sample superstore, and there you will be able to see the connection information. You can just edit this connection or replace this file, do something. So basically, this editing a connection is what? That is basically going to connect to that file, and it's going to give you the server name, the provider details, the username or password if it is required. If it's a protected file, it asks for a username, password. So if it is a normal database, it will ask the location, the server name, the provider name, these information is asked. So these information get saved by default once you establish a connection. And you can see like it treats everything as a database tables only. You can see that here. Can you see your sample superstore is the name what you have. You can rename this and give your own custom names. Okay. And one more thing, what you could observe is towards your left, there are 3 tables created. Can you see here? Each and everything is a table there. You can just click here and view data. The data gets loaded there. So basically, all these information gets loaded to Tableau's memory there. So whatever data, what you are getting connected, that gets loaded to Tableau's memory out there. So that is one thing you should know here. Okay. So unless until you drag and drop a table in this window, you will not be able to see the connection time there. Can you see here? I just dragged this orders table and dropped it over here, and as soon as I did that, I got a connection here. One is live connection and other one is an extract connection. Okay. So yesterday we discussed something about live connections. Live connections are nothing but like a live feed. So I gave you an example yesterday, like this Times Now news channel, and whenever they are doing this election related poll forecasting or pre-poll, exit polls, these things, for everything mostly Times Now is using Tableau films. Times Now, Economic Times, the Business Standard, all the newspapers, if you see, most of the dashboards that are built, that are being done in Tableau. So if you see the live connections, where it helps is whenever you have some real-time live information that needs to come on from one system to another. So that point of time, this live connection would be really useful. Wherein you require the data to be fed. So as and when I'm updating something, I want the data to be available here. That point of time, live connection is useful. Okay. Okay, Lopita wants to know how to connect Excel sheet with Tableau once again. Yeah, sure. Sure, friends. Sure, Lopita, I can show you that again. So I'll first remove this existing thing. Yes. In the public version of Tableau, friends, you will not be able to see live or extract. The reason is, in a public version of Tableau, it is totally live connection only. So there is nothing called as live or extract there, because in a public, since it would be directly connected with the public.tableau.com, I'll tell you what that is. Public.tableau.com is a server there. So in Tableau public, you will not be able to see these. So once you activate the other version, Tableau desktop version, after our course is done, that point of time you should be able to see that. Okay, that's a very good question Manigandan has. Since the data is getting loaded to Tableau's memory, is there any limitation? Definitely, Manigandan. So here we will, there is a limitation there. So in terms of number of records, there is no limitation there in Tableau. However, there is an alternate way in order to have a better performance. For example, I have done a live connection to my Excel sheet here. So instead of doing a live connection to my Excel sheet, if I had done to my legacy database, so maybe try like IBM mainframe database I have connected. I am working in a bank and I am connecting to one of my IBM legacy databases. So that point of time, you cannot assure that the performance would be better there. So it has certain limitations. The limitation in Tableau is whatever size of your RAM or whatever, it consumes both your RAM and hard disk. So most of the data, which is kept there, it consumes your system's memory there. So here once you change the connection type to an extract one, what happens? The limitation is whatever size your system has. For example, if your system has 8 GB RAM, in that like assume like 4 GB is available. So Tableau can make use of, in that 4 GB can make use of around like 3 GB of your system RAM for loading the data and doing certain operations. So the limitation here is your system's memory only, but in terms of any other physical limitations, we don't have anything in Tableau. So Tableau doesn't have any limitations. So in terms of the number of records or something, but however, the number of records which can be loaded in its memory at once, if it is a live connection, is 10,000 records. So 10,000 records is the maximum number of records which Tableau can save or store it on a live connection in the memory at once. So for remaining data, it can load it as you move on and on. So we will see in detail about this, Manikandan, but that's a very good question. So we'll be discussing that in detail. Okay. So now I'll just connect to this Excel connection once again, and I'll show how to establish a connection. Okay. So Lokita, this is how we do. Just click on this Excel tab, and there is a sample. You need to locate where your file is available. So my file is there in this location. So I'm just clicking there, and I'll click on open. So as soon as I click on open, my tab gets opened there, and with my connections you will be able to see all the sheets whatever we are having. So I'm just taking this orders table, dragging it and dropping it over here. So this is where you need to drag and drop your sheets. So I just dragged and dropped it here. So my connections such as the live and extract thing is appearing now as soon as I added this table. Similarly, I can add other tables also, and automatically Tableau creates the joins for that. We will discuss about the joins in some time, friends. We'll see this. So for now you understand that you can drag and drop this over here. Okay. And Samir has a question, but legacy database has raw data without copy book. How can we read that? Okay, yeah, that's a good question, Samir. So if your legacy database is having a kind of ODBC connectivity, that is, like if you can establish a connection with your legacy database with ODBC connector like this, for example, your legacy database might be anything, but if you are able to have a driver for your legacy database, so this driver is the one which helps you understanding the data. So basically this is the one which helps you. For example, here you have this Microsoft Fox Pro, and you see this is a very old system, Fox Pro is. And if you are having a driver available for this, or other ODBC for translators, or some other things if you are having a driver which is available here, and if your ODBC, if your database, legacy database supporting ODBC connector, then you can connect it. So if you are not having a ODBC driver for your legacy database, then you cannot connect it. So that's what I meant actually, not directly connecting. So but here there are some things called IBM Big Insights or IBM DB2. So DB2 is one of the legacy databases. We have direct connection with this legacy database. We just need to give the server name, the database name, the username and the password. So automatically you will be getting the connections. Very similarly, you will be able to see the tables also. Yeah. So if a driver is available, friends, you can connect to that. So that should not be a problem. Now moving on, friends. So this is how after you establish a connection, you will be able to see something called live and extract. Okay. Now we will see the architecture so that you get a glance on what exactly the architecture is looking like. So I think I went. Yes. Now we'll look at the Tableau's architecture. Lav has a question. Can we download additional ODBC driver and install use through Tableau? For example, I want to connect to Lotus Notes or NetSuite CRM. Yeah, definitely, Lav. You can connect to additional drivers. So this would be the URL link where you can try downloading the additional drivers. Friends, if you are having a different system and if you would like to connect that system to Tableau, what you need to do is, friends, you need to download the drivers. So that's what Lab has the question. So this is the link for that, tableau.com/support drivers. I think this is the URL. Okay, so this is the suppose slash drivers. So this is the URL lab. You can basically try here if you are able to find a driver for your Lotus nodes, and you can select your operating system and those details, and directly you can download your driver. And after downloading and installing your driver, you can establish a connection directly. So we have the other systems here. What other systems for which the driver is required, and if you are able to find out the Lotus nodes here, I think it should be fine. You can just have a look at this site. Okay, so if you see this architecture now, friends, so these are like my source systems. So yesterday we were discussing about the ETL process. So where the data will get extracted. So these are some of the connectors which are available. So nothing but these are like the systems what we have access to. So this is nothing but the data sources. So whatever data sources we saw over there yesterday, the same thing is available here. So they have just given that like Attic and Matrix, Google Analytics, MySQL, OData, Oracle SBase. So these are the data sources what we can connect to, and can also connect to unstructured data I told you yesterday. So like Twitter you can connect, and you can connect to Google Sheets, you can connect to Excel, Access, Microsoft Dynamics, like that. So there are a set of good data sources that are available, and here we had two connections. You could see in my screen there, in my Tableau there, when we just opened it up, there were two screens that was available. So one was like the live connection, the other one is the extract connection. So we'll discuss about this extract connection in some time and why we need to use extract connection. So we will know that in some time. So this is what it is. And in an extract, whenever you are creating an extract connection, there is something called as a TDE, Tableau data extract. That file is getting created. And when you are using a live connection, you can directly query the database. However, when you are using an extract connection, you assume like there is a database which is intermediary available. So this is my source, and there is a database in between when you are connecting through an extract. However, in a live connection, it is a direct query. So that thing you need to understand. For an extract connection, you will have a separate database. So the database will be in a form of .tde file. Okay, so we'll understand that what that is. Okay, and similarly in a server architecture also. So this is the Tableau desktop, the one what I showed you. There is server also which is available. So yesterday I told you server is something like wherein you can schedule your jobs. Where it helps you scheduling the jobs, and it provides security for the system. Like what security? In terms of username, user management. It gives the appropriate user management permission. It can have thousands of users added to the system. It's providing you a kind of a layer. So maybe if you have used, people who have used SSRS reports in Microsoft, there is something called SQL Server Reporting Manager, right? So there in SQL Server Reporting Manager, you host all your reports after you are developing, and you enable the permissions there. And similarly in other products also, there should be some scheduling connection manager or kind of where it hosts all your reports there. So from that is the location where the users can directly access your reports. So you will have a server, proper URL for that, these things. So that is basically Tableau server. So this is what is having is it is managing the refreshing of the data, and it manages the users, it manages the, it stores the workbooks. So it stores the workbooks and repositories, and it also has something called cache connection manager. We'll see in detail about this in some time. However, server is the one which is used for user management and for security and for hosting your reports. Whatever reports on the dashboards, whatever you are creating, the server is used for hosting it. Okay. In server also we have something very similar to that of extract. In server also we have an extract connection and a live connection. You can build the reports in Tableau server as well. However, the main purpose is not for building the reports. So in Tableau desktop you build your KPIs, dashboards, reports, everything. Here you publish everything. So generally we don't use server for doing any of the report building activities. We don't do that. Is this clear, friends? Everyone, please let me know if you had some questions. Sure, Father, I can explain you that. So here if you see the server is generally having as a similar architecture to that of a desktop. Okay, it has extract connection and a live connection also. However, the only thing which is different is you can build some reports, you can build some dashboards also in Tableau server. However, we generally don't use Tableau server for building any of the dashboards. The main purpose of this server is to have the users. So for example, your business user wants to have access to a report. Assume you are building a report and you have developed the report in Tableau desktop and you are publishing that report here. So after you publish the report, your user wants access to your reports. So in that point of time, what you will do, you will request your Tableau server administrator that I need the set of users or this particular user access to my report. Please grant him the read access. So inside the server, the Tableau server admin goes there and he grants the read access. And so those information will get saved under the security, and the workbooks, whatever you are building over here, a copy of the workbook will be kept in the server as well. So that's what you are seeing here in the store workbook repository. The main purpose is, and also it can manage the automations. So what is this automation? Automation is nothing but like you can schedule your jobs. So you must have heard about the job scheduling, right? So where you want this particular report to get executed every day morning, 7 a.m. EST time, Eastern time, or whatever time your business requires. So you can schedule those things in Tableau server. So that's what that's where this Tableau server is going to be useful for us. Okay. Yes. Lav has a question. So TDE is a physical DB. What is the benefit of TDE? Yeah, sure, Lav. So TDE, we are going to see in detail about that, Lav. Maybe like in next module, I think we are going to see in detail about the Tableau data extract. So maybe as of now, you can understand that it is like a database. It's an encrypted database which is stored inside your system only. Okay. So we'll see in detail about how this is working and what does TDE, how it is different, why we need to use. We'll be seeing that in some time. Okay, Jayashree has a question. Are we going to learn how to do security and management or automation, or in scheduling a jobs in Tableau server later in this course? Yeah. So Jayashree, here in this course we are basically not going to concentrate on the server part of Tableau because it's a desktop purely it's a developer course. So for a server thing, I will give you the information on how to do things. But maybe this course, we are not going to cover things on how to do things. But we will be hosting it in the server, and we will be seeing the reports, and we will be seeing how it is managed. These things we will be seeing. However, we might not work on the administrator level of things there. Okay. Okay. So now moving on, this is the end result of that. So what? So after you build some reports in your thing, you publish it in the server. So after you publish in the server, you can access the reports in various formats. Okay. So what are those formats? So I as a user can access. I told you yesterday, Tableau Reader is something what we need to download it. So I told you also that Tableau Reader is something like a PDF reader. So what this Tableau Reader has, this Tableau Reader helps you understanding the workbooks. So whenever a Tableau workbook is built, you cannot view that in your normal browser. So what you need to, you cannot view the report if you are not having permissions, or you, for example, I'm developing a report, okay, and I'm sharing that physical report to you, and you do not have Tableau installed. How will you open it? So you don't have permission to open my report. I'm sharing my report as a physical developed copy, as a TWBX they call that, Tableau packaged workbook. I'm sharing it to you directly. You cannot open the file directly. So what you can have is, you can have something called Tableau Reader for that. So this Tableau Reader basically helps you to read that particular workbook, and you can basically read my report, and though you may not have access, you can directly read that. So that's what this Tableau Reader does. Okay. So after you publish the reports, you can download the reports in various formats, like Excel, as a PowerPoint, as a PDF, or as a browser itself. You can open it and see that. Okay. So this is for static readers. So there are other ways of reading the report also. You can view the reports. You can build the reports which are compatible with mobile, you can view these reports in any of the databases or the servers also. You can directly open it from your browser as well. So that advantage also you have. So this is basically web and mobile users can also access. You can access it through your tablet, through your mobile, and you can access it through your browser, anything. So it gives you variety of options, friends, to see the reports. Tableau provides you various options there. So that's what it is given over here. Shweta wants to know, can we drill down reports in Tableau? Yes, Shweta, absolutely. We can create drill down reports. We can create drill through reports. You can also create something called the reporting in a much more advanced level, where user actions are there, wherein I click on one particular item and the other report gets loaded. It's a kind of to be precise, like it would be a sub-report kind of look in SSRS. So these things also you can do. So it's pretty much dynamic. You will be seeing those in some time. So once we start with the course practicals directly. Okay, friends. So this is the server's architecture. As I told you, there are various data sources. So it can be like a data warehouse, or it can be a data mart for files or cubes, whatever may be the data. Tableau can connect to that directly. So these are the various data sources that we have, and these are the server components. So inside the servers, server basically, these are the inside components which is available, friends. There is something called each and every, for every source, what we see over here, there is a driver which is available here, friends. For example, for a data warehouse, we have something called a fast data engine which is available. For a SQL server, we have a data mart or a normal tables what you need to connect. Maybe it's an Oracle table or a Teradata or a SQL. For those, we have a SQL connector which is available. And for normal files, it can be a direct connection. It can directly connect to files anytime. And for cubes, we have an MDX connector which is available. Similarly, you can have the repository inside also, which stores all the data like files and other things. So these are like the database connectors. For each and every source, there is a connector which is available. So, and these are the main components which work inside that. The server, we have an application server here. So which is basically managing all the application loads. So whenever the user is clicking on the URL, the server traffic goes through this application server only. And we have something called data server, which is basically managing the databases, managing the data. That data server is available. And we also have something called BizQL server. We are going to, this is an important component in Tableau, friends. BizQL, you must have heard about SQL, which is a structured query language. This is something called BizQL, which is visualized query language. You will see what this BizQL is, what this BizQL server is in some time, friends. And there is also a gateway load balancer. So this is at a high level, friends. You can just know. So inside my Tableau server, I have these components running parallelly. So this load balancer is basically balancing my load. So for what purpose this load balancer is used? So when thousands of users are accessing your dashboards, what you are built, at that point of time, when you want, so parallelly I am also accessing, you are also accessing, the load needs to be balanced and it needs to be sent to the application server. So in order to do that, this is the one which is doing that. This gateway load balancer, this is the one which is doing that. Based on the request what we receive from a desktop connection or a mobile connection or a browser connection, the load balancer balances the load, it sends to the application server, and after that it goes through these connectors and directly access that source system. So, and one more thing to understand here, friends, whatever may be your source, you can connect to that source system, but it is a read-only copy. You cannot write anything to your source. So it is one-way connection only. You can just have a read-only connection with your source. You cannot write something from Tableau to your source system. That is one thing you should understand. Friends, any questions here? Okay. So this is what it is. This application server handles the browsing permissions of the Tableau server and mobile interfaces. And BizQL server sends the query directly to the data source, giving you a visual feedback. We'll be seeing in detail about this BizQL server in some time. And there is a data server which centrally manages and stores the data. So maintains the metadata information. So when I was establishing a connection from Tableau, you can see like there was something called executing a query window came there. I think you must have noticed that. So I'll just see if I can do that once again. Let me close this connection. So I'm just going to this data and I'll click on close connection. Close data source. Okay. Now I'll re-establish a connection. You just have a look here. So as and when I am loading the data, there is something called so I'm just loading this. So for the first time it came as executing a query. So in the background the query is getting executed and the connection information is getting stored. So basically this data server within the Tableau server is managing all the metadata information. Metadata in the sense, what are the columns, what are the variables, data types of those columns, and calculations and other things. The data server is managing that in a Tableau server. So this is a server's architecture, and we saw about the load balancer. So whenever there are multiple systems getting access to it, we will be seeing a load balancer which distributes the request among the processes. So that's the main purpose of load balancer. Okay. So now we will see in detail about what is this BizQL. Okay. So before moving on to this BizQL, friends, I wanted to show you something here. So I am taking my orders table, I am dropping it over here in this pane. So after I add my orders table here, there is something called live and extract. We'll see about this extract connection in some time. So as and when I go move on here, can you see what has happened? Tableau automatically has created two things for me, friends. One is the dimensions and the other one is a measure. So how Tableau is deciding that? Okay. In simple terms, Tableau is seeing the data type of this. So if it is a row ID or an integer data type, can you see here? This is going to, we can just click here, the top, this place, friends, and you can see like what is the one which is checked. It is a number and a whole number which is checked. This data. Similarly, if you just click on here, this ABC means it's a string. And similarly for a date, you have something with a date symbol there. Date symbol is available. For a date time, you will have a date and time also. And for any other symbols, we have something called as a globe symbol, which is like a geographical field. So we will see about this in some time, because this is like a geographical field is something different there, but it's nothing but a string by default in a normal data type, but it's a geographical field. So we'll see about this when we are seeing about the mapping features of Tableau, where these geographical fields are used and how it is useful. Can you see here, one intelligent thing what Tableau does is, based on my source data type, based on my source system's data, it is automatically deciding my data type. So this is going to be a number, so numeric, and this is going to be a string. So it is assigning a string data type. This is a date. It's assigning a date data type. So I didn't do anything here manually. Everything Tableau itself decided that. So this field is going to be of this data type. So these things Tableau by itself understands it. So that is the power of the system. And after understanding the source, you have, anyway, if you feel like this is not the appropriate data type, I want this number, I don't want this to be treated as a number, I want this to be treated as a string. So you have the capability to change that. You can change that, but maybe sometimes it might throw you an error that this is not the appropriate format. So basically when I'm changing certain data, it might not allow me to do that, but most of the cases it allows you to change the data type. So for example, here I'm just changing it to a maybe string. Let me try. Let's see if I'm getting an error out here. Yeah, it has changed the data type now. Can you see now? My data type has changed now from a number to a string. It has been changed. Anyway, you have that freedom to change the data type. So though Tableau is deciding it, you always have a freedom to change it. Okay. Fine. So based on the data type of those fields, all numeric fields like discount, profit, quantity, sales, and number of records, these things are categorized as measures. All numeric fields will be categorized as measures. and all categorical fields. Categorical fields in the sense, all like maybe it can be a string, it can be a date, it can be numeric also can be available here in dimensions. So mostly based on the data type, it categorizes into two categories, friends. One would be the dimensions, which is going to give you some additional details about the measures. So the others would be a pure numerical field that would be coming as measures. So for now you understand in this, but we will be seeing in detail about what are measures and what are discrete and continuous. These things we will be seeing it in some time. So before doing that, you just understand that all numeric fields will come under measures and all categorical fields will come under dimensions. You just understand that. So based on my source data type, this will be categorized. Okay. So now we are going to see about the VisQL. So why I took you here is in order to show you what this VisQL is doing. Okay. So friends, I wanted to see my customer name here. Okay. I would like to see my customer name. So I'm just dragging this field and dropping it somewhere here. So I wanted to see my customer name here. Okay. So, and based on my customer name, I would like to see which region this customer belongs to and what is the average sales that I have got through this customer and what is the profit I made. Assume that I am just dragging and dropping these fields there. As you can see here, friends, automatically whenever I'm dragging and dropping some fields here, something is happening at the background and some maps got enabled by default. They're showing me some maps and it is showing some visualizations for me and I'm able to see like, okay, some information. I can just click on any of these maps and I can see that, okay, these many things are there and something is getting highlighted here and so something is getting enabled over there. So whatever I'm doing is, am I writing any queries here? No, right? I'm just doing a drag and drop only. So I'm just dragging this order ID. I'm just double clicking on this order ID, double clicking on my product ID, and I'm clicking on my discount, or I'm just doing some operations then and there. But whatever operations I'm doing, that is getting converted as a query in the background and only the visualized form of that data has been shown to me. Not everything is shown. Only the visualized form of that data is shown to me. So for example, from this bar graph, I'm able to see like here the discount has been really high. So the discount is 0.7, that is 70% discount was offered on this particular product only. Okay. Sure friends, I think we'll go for a break then. So I'm just stopping it here friends, we'll go for a 5-minute break and let's all come back. Sure, Manikandan, I can share you the link for Tableau Reader. Yeah, I'll just do that. Friends, others who wants a break, maybe we can just break for 5 minutes and come back again. So this is the link for downloading the Tableau Reader, friends. You can download it from here. welcome. Okay, friends, if you are all back, shall we start? Okay, okay, friends, thank you. So we were discussing about this SQL part there. So as you had seen from my screen, whatever drag and drop, whatever I'm making here, friends, a query is getting executed at my background. So for each and every table, whatever I'm dragging and dropping it over here, there is a query which is running at my background. You should note that. Because you won't be able to see those queries directly. However, Tableau it is saying, can you see here, 9986 rows by 3 columns. And it's giving you a sum of discount or something like this. A kind of a similar look like an Excel, whatever we are seeing. However, this is at a very large data set it can handle. Unlike Excel, it has a limitation, right, on the number of rows, and in terms of performance also it has certain limitations. So unlike that, it doesn't have it. However, it can have almost like all data put together here, and a query is being executed on top of this data set. For example, what query would get executed? For example, there can be, I'm opening a notepad. So for this particular table, a query, kind of a matrix kind of query is getting executed. It is maybe assume like a select my product, comma, orders, order ID, comma, postal code, comma, sum of discount, and sum of profit and sum of sales, like that. From which table? This table is going to be orders. From orders table, and it's going to group by these 3 columns: the product ID, the order ID, and the postal code. It's going to write a group by there. And for this operations, in order to perform this operations, it is also making use. So based on the conditions, whatever you are giving, that gets converted internally as a SQL query. However, this SQL query is not visible to us. Okay, so in a normal database language, so what would be the output result when you are executing a query? So what would be the output result in the sense? The output result will be in the form of a table, right? In a table, form of a table, rows and columns. Do you all agree with me? In a normal query, when you are getting it executed, if you are writing some query like this, assume that I'm just giving it in Um, uh, hello everyone, can you hear me? Okay friends, I think there was some issue there in just this connection. I just had to log in back again. I think now it is fine. I think you are all able to hear me well, right? Okay. Yeah, one moment. I think my screen sharing also got stopped in between. Let me share my screen again. Yeah. Now I think you should be able to see my screen. Okay. Okay, friends. So we were discussing about this particular SQL Server query. So the query, whatever we are getting executing this in a SQL Server or in an Oracle or in any other database, what we are doing, the result would be in form of a tables and columns only, right? So what is unique about in this QL? So this QL is doing something unique there. What it is doing, after this query is executing, the result of this query is being taken in the form of rows and columns, and this result is getting transformed into a visual format. So this is something unique which you don't have in other systems. Okay. So why I'll give you an example. So I'm connecting to a SQL server, or I'm connecting to a Teradata database. So there I'm writing an SQL statement. So after I finish executing that SQL statement, I get the result. So I get the result in form of rows and columns. Assume that I'm having around like 1000 rows, okay, and I'm having around 20 columns. So this 1000 rows and 20 columns, what I need to do? I need to copy this or save this in a form of a table, correct? So unless until I save this in a form of, save this result in a form of a table, and then I need to draw a visualization for this. However, so for example, this 1000 rows and 20 columns I'm getting. So after getting this 1000 rows and 20 columns, I'll be saving this in a form of a table, or I'll be saving it in a form of a temp table or anything. Assume that I'm just saving this query. Assume that I'm just copying this result. So copying this result, okay, and I'm going to paste this result in a Excel. I'm going to paste this result in an Excel. So after pasting this data in an Excel, what I need to do? I need to go to this data tab or insert tab, insert charts or pivot tables. Can you see here recommended charts is available? I will just click on this recommended chart and I need to create a chart now. Correct? So this is the normal approach what we follow, friends. This is like a normal approach what we follow. And I will be pasting it in an Excel, then I will be inserting a chart or creating a visualization. Visualization, okay? So this is the normal steps that we need to perform. However, what our this QL engine is doing, it is skipping all the steps and it's directly, these steps are getting executed at the background. So in the background it is taking this 1000 rows and 20 columns, copying it in a temporary table or in its own memory and then creating a chart. So instead of doing these things, what this SQL engine is doing is directly converting it into a visualized format. So directly the query, these things are not getting executed at all. These things are being done at the background. At the background of your system, these operations are performed. At the front end, what is happening? Drag and drop. So you are just dragging this, dropping this, and as and when you drag and drop it, it is getting converted into a visualized format. However, in the background, these many operations are being performed. The query is getting returned. The row is getting returned. The row is getting saved in the form of a table. And then a visualization is getting created finally. And this visualized result is directly sent over here. So this is making us look like we are just dragging and dropping and the columns are appearing. It's looking like a pivot table at the background. But these many things are happening at the background, friends. We should note that. So you must have seen Excel pivot table. It's very similar to that, but however, so many operations are getting performed at the background. Is this clear, friends? Everyone? Okay. Lav has a good question. How can we resolve the performance related issues if we cannot see the query which is getting executed at the background? Okay, that's a very good question, Lav. Generally, what happens is the performance related issues may be because of your source system. If your source system is a legacy source system, like DB2 or any other source system, what you are having, that point of time, if your source system is slow, automatically your query will get executed at your source system only. It will not get executed at Tableau side. So that will be slow. Okay. So in terms of the visualization, what you have created, if it is slow, so for example, you have not used the proper standards of development. In that point of time, what you can do is, basically there is something called performance recording which is available under this help window. Under settings and performance, there is something called start performance recording. Can you see this? So there is something called my performance recorder there. So you can basically run this performance recorder, and this performance recorder monitors your system. So as and when you create some visualizations and the things, you will be able to see your queries then after. So once you start this performance recorder, you will be able to know like, okay, this is what is making a problem. So I need to change this particular view. I cannot have show all these product IDs here. This is actually making my report a bit more slower. So those kind of things you can do that. That comes at the later part of that. But however, the query which is designed or which is being generated by Tableau is far more efficient query than the one we are writing. The reason why I am saying is, whenever you are performing a join between one table and other, you need to understand the query execution performance plan. You need to know like how many tables are getting joined, how many columns are getting joined. If you are the ones who knows about performance tuning, you should be able to see the query optimizer engine. What is the cost that is involved? How many index scans have been done? How many index seek is going on? What is the logical read? What is the physical read? These things you should be manually checking that. However, Tableau's query is designed in such a way that the engine generates these queries in accordance with the query optimizer engine. So according to the best possible way, Tableau designs those queries. So there is the least chance that it might be because of the erroneous query what Tableau has generated. It would be mostly because of our own practice that we have dragged and dropped some fields which might cause this issue. So mostly it would be from our end, and there is a very less possibility that it is from Tableau's query engine. So even if you feel that it is because of the query, that point of time we have this performance record. Is this clear, Love? Okay. Okay, so this is what this SQL engine is doing. So this is something really unique in Tableau, which is not available in other source systems. So SQL engine is a patented software. So I told you yesterday, Tableau is costing you around $2,000. One of the reasons is this one, because this is a patented one, and the persons who have invented this SQL engine language, they have done the patent for next, I think, 18 to 20 years, I believe. So till then, no one can copy this particular language. So this is not available in the market, friends. This particular technology or this particular approach, this is not available there in the market. Okay, Manikandan has one more question. How does Tableau know if the join key fields are on a different name on the table? I recognize the key fields based on the data values. Okay. Yeah, Manikandan. So if you feel like Tableau cannot recognize it, you have the flexibility to change those join queries, Manikandan. So here if you see, this is the people's table, and then just dragging and dropping the people's table. So by default, when a join is performed here, if you just click on this join, okay, can you see here? It is basically joining by region, because region is the field which is there in my both the source systems. However, you have an option of changing this join type here, friends. You can basically set a different name also. Instead of this region, you can basically say like it's state here, and here this is region. So you have the flexibility to change the name there. So that is absolutely possible, and you can basically change the details there. For example, here I want to join it by there's some customer name, I say customer name and person. So in that case, I can do a join also. So that is possible. So it's not mandatory that it has to have the same keys. You can go and edit the keys, friends. I will talk in detail about this when we are covering on the joins part. Yeah, yes. So by default, it recognizes based on the name. However, when we are selecting that particular field, if you feel like it has to be a different field, you can do that. That is absolutely possible. Okay. No. So this is some introduction about this SQL engine. So that is what they have given it in detail here. You can have a look at this slide. So SQL is something technology that allows a simple drag and drop functions to create a sophisticated visualization, and which can run an ad hoc analysis of millions of rows in seconds. So SQL is the backbone of Tableau. So whatever things what I told you, it sends the query to your database, and that query gets transformed into rows and columns, and the result is getting stored under a cache server called a result cache, and internally this cache is returned to your visualized dashboard. Finally, that would be your end result. So this is the process which is happening at the background, what we just saw now, and this is how this SQL engine is working at the back. Okay, so this is what we saw. The SQL, the main difference is that traditional analysis tool forces you to analyze the data in rows and columns and choose the subset of your data and organize the data into tables, then create a chart. The approach what we saw. SQL skips those steps and directly represents your data right away. So that is the difference. So basically, like so here Lab asked the question how Tableau is efficiently designing some queries there. So when we are creating dashboards here, dashboard is something like this is the worksheet, friend, what we created. What we just created is worksheet. Similarly, there is something called a group of worksheets to put together in a single view. We call them as dashboards. Assume like there are 10 worksheets. 10 worksheets are accessing data from different sources. Now when you are putting it as a dashboard, Tableau combines all these queries into a single query, and it makes it even more efficient. So it constantly works towards fine-tuning your query at the background. So though it is thinking that it is nothing, you are not able to see anything, everything is done at the background. So that is one thing to note. Okay. So here are some of the questions for you. You can let me know the answers for first one and the second one after reading it. Okay. For question 1, most of them have answered as D, and for question 2 as well, some of them D and some of them have answered it as A. Okay. Let's see now what it is. Okay. So the first question is, what are the benefit of data visualization? So the data visualization benefit is absorb more information easily, discover the relationship patterns between the operational activities, identify the emerging trends faster, all of these. Yes. And for the second one, which query language is supported by Tableau? So the query language which is supported by Tableau is, friends, it's BizQL. BizQL, do we have a BizQL option over here? I think we don't have it. So Tableau uses a query language called BizQL. That's what we just saw now. It doesn't use a SQL because SQL is getting run at the background. However, the language, what we call them it as BizQL, the programming language, what we call them as BizQL. For the first one, it is all of these, and for the second question, none of this. Visual query language is used in a back end of Tableau as it creates a visual representation of your data right away, giving you a visualized feedback to analyze. Okay. Friends, so with this we are done with the first theory part of this module. Okay. So I think we have already touched base this particular thing on establishing a connections and things. Establishing a connection with the data set, understand the UI of Tableau, performing join operations. You will see this performing join operations alone now, and as the remaining things we have already done. So we'll glance it through what are the things that they have done there. So here this is the home screen of Tableau. You just need to go to open the Tableau there and click on open. And there is more connections, more servers are available. We saw this yesterday. What are the various servers that is available there? And we'll see how to establish a connection to those servers now. So this is the Excel data source. You click on this Excel, you open this, and an Excel window gets popped up, and you establish a connection. So this would be the connection, and you can rename your connection here. So this indicates that your connection is established. You can just do a connection there, and these are the tables. Different sheets would be shown as different tables there, and you can drag and drop a table name there. And after when you drag and drop, the fields get populated. We saw this, and let's come to the UI components of Tableau. Yeah. So this part, friends, we will be seeing on what are the UI components of Tableau. Okay. So I'm just opening a new sheet here in order to keep it simple. Okay. So this is a new sheet which is open. So the one what you are seeing over here, you will be able to see all the data sources. So whatever data source fields are available, you will be able to see that here. If you want to browse any of the fields, you can click on this view data, and it will basically tell you what data is available here. So this will basically show you all the categories and all the stuff which are available here, and what is the data what we are seeing here. So it will show you all these details. Profit, quantity, sales. You can just view this data. So totally 9,994 rows are available in this data set. So this we call them as a data pane. Okay. And the one, this measures and dimensions which is having, it is a data pane there. And here you have the connection information. So you can basically, what you can do is you can right click here and click on edit data source or view data. So this is basically a data source what we have that is available here. Okay. And this field, this filter, for example, there is a filters pane which is available. Even yesterday we touched it, we didn't go deep into that. So this is like the filters pane. What you can do is, if I want to filter it based on a city, I'll take the city field, drop it in the filters pane. So what this filter is doing, basically in a SQL terms, this filter is nothing but a var statement. So you will be writing a var query, right? Var city in whatever city name you are giving. So you will have all the city details entered here, right? So this is nothing but a vast query there. So here you can just click on those fields whatever you wanted to. For example, I wanted to see the sales in this region, Cincinnati, Chicago. So these three places alone I would like to see. So I'm clicking on OK. So my sales which had happened in these cities alone get displayed there. So that is this filter pane. We are going to see in detail about this. For now I'm just showing it to you, friends. So you can also do a quick filter like this. You can just select the cities and you can just select all, or if you want a specific city to be selected, you can just select it from here. And anytime if you want to clear the filter, you can clear it here. And anytime you do not want to show this filters pane, you can just click here and you can just hide this. You may not show that if you do not want to. So this is like a filter pane, friends. So this pane is generally used for filtering purpose. For whatever data what you are seeing, if you want to filter it by a particular region or by a particular thing, you can make use of this filters pane. And we have something called column shelves and row shelves, friends. Okay. So what is this column shelves and row shelves? So see this carefully. Whenever I am taking my customer name, dragging it and dropping it in my columns pane, you see it is just appearing in my columns here. So this is nothing but where you want to place these items. I want to see by postal code there. So the postal code comes in your rows. And what you want to see, I want my sales. I want my sales to appear, for example, in my rows. So I can just see my sales which is appearing in my rows. So this is the sales amount and it is basically generating me a query in the background. And these things, I can just switch it between there and here. So I can make use of this anytime. So whatever fields you are dragging and dropping, that will get placed over here. So this is one field. So at any point of time, if you want to clear anything, you can make use of this. This is like a shortcut. So you can just clear all the sheets by clicking on here. And like it is like, if you want to create a duplicate sheet, for example, this is your original report. You don't want to make any changes to your original report. You would like to see it in a new report. You can just click on the duplicate. So now can you see that same sheet is getting replicated in sheet 1 and sheet 3. You have a duplicate sheet which is available. Like this you can have, if you want to create a new worksheet, you can click on this and click on new worksheet. And there is something also called, so I want these columns and these things, product ID, order ID, postal code in columns. And I want these fields in rows. I don't want to do a manual transpose here. So instead what I will do, there is something called swap rows and columns. I can click here. So this basically swaps my rows into columns and columns into rows. And can you see computing a layout is coming and a visualized effect for that layout is available. So you can make use of these shortcuts there. And we will see in detail about the other things also. So this is like some shortcut tools which are available. And this is important. This is like a show me. So what Tableau has done is, friends, based on the data, whatever you have selected, it suggests you what is the best graph which would suit this particular view. So the one which is highlighted in orange color, this is like the recommended one from Tableau. Can you see here, this is showing as recommended one. So when you click on this, this is the one which comes there by default. So this is the recommended view for Tableau. So other than this, if you want any other view also, you can make use of that. So this is based on, not like just like that Tableau is suggesting, friends. This is based on a survey taken by analytics professionals all over the world. And based on that, they have come up with the data. So based on whatever data you are selecting, which graph you should use. There are 24 different graphs. What you see here, it will suggest you based on the data whatever you have. It will suggest you those appropriate graphs. For example, if I am having order date here, it will suggest me a graph there. So I am clearing this sheet So here, like, I don't know what graph to use. Okay. So what I will do, I'll click on this order date. I'll do a control click on order date, on country, on region, on profit, and on sales. Can you see now? It is suggesting me almost all graphs now. I can make use of any of these graphs. So if I just click on that graph, automatically a visualization would get generated based on that particular graph. So based on that, you will be able to see that visualization. So that is the advantage of this Show Me toolbar. This is really useful for you to generate graphs and things within minutes. Okay. So Kalpana is asking why it is showing sum of profit or sum of sales. That's very good observation, Kalpana. Yes. So what is happening here is, friends, whenever you are taking any of the measure fields, the values will get aggregated by default. Okay. So we are going to cover about this aggregation separately. However, as we have a question now, I will just talk about the aggregation also. Aggregation is nothing but, friends, aggregation is nothing but a sum or an operation, mathematical operation performed. So this aggregation by default, this data will get aggregated and displayed. So the aggregated and displayed in the sense it will provide you a summarized level of data. It will give you a sum of profit and sum of sales. However, you do not want to see that aggregation anymore. What you can do is, there is something called aggregate measures. Can you see here under analysis tool, there is something called aggregate measures which is available. If you just uncheck this, can you see now? This aggregation is no more available for me. It is showing by individual regions there. Within United States, this is the state and maybe this is the particular city wise. It is totally not aggregating anything here. So it is just displaying all data put together. Everything it is displaying and everything put together it is just showing me the results. So if I am just going here and clicking on aggregate again, then it gives me a summarized view there. So that's why now if you see for United States in West in 2014, this is what it is. Can you see here? Now it is aggregating basically based on the year and it is aggregating based on the country. It's aggregating based on the region. By default, Tableau is doing that, friends, for us. So this is to make sure that we are seeing the data in a summarized level. So that is the main purpose of viewing this aggregation. You got this, Kalpana? We will be seeing in detail about this aggregation and what is aggregation, what is disaggregation. We will be covering it in our next modules. However, by default, all measures will be aggregated. Okay. Okay, friends. So this is about the toolbars, what we saw. So these are like a columns or a row shelves. And these are something called mark card. So mark card is nothing but where you will be able to add some customizations to this. For example, here if you see the sum of sales or if you wanted this to be colored based on something else. So in color, for example, each and every mark is a color there. So color, size, label, detail and tooltip is available. So tooltip is nothing but once I'm dragging my cursor over this, what is available in tooltip? If you just see the symbol, this tooltip, if you just click on this, you will be knowing. Can you see here? It's saying my country, region, year, profit, sum of sales, everything is there. So whatever values I'm selecting, you just show that in tooltip. So that gets default. So this is for customizations. So we are going to talk about this in detail. For now you understand that this mark card are for adding more of customizations to our view. So that's where we use this mark card. We'll be seeing in detail about this. Don't worry. Okay. So this is on the Tableau's UI, whatever we had. So this is basically from your data sources, the dimensions and the things what we saw. Here we call them as the pills, and this is the marks card. And the area where you drop your visualizations, that we call them as the region drop area. So where you will get the data visualized, that we call them. So there are various toolbars, what we saw, that is being shown here. Okay. And we saw about the show me. So we selected 2-3 fields, automatically a graphs are being shown to us. So this basically smartly highlights the graphs that works best for these types of attributes. So that basically Tableau suggests us, like based on the data what you are selecting, it should suggest you the graphs what you can use. So that is what this show me can do. Okay. Now, quick thing, friends, what we will do is, okay, and there is something called, okay, so I'll go to my previous first view, okay. So here, there is something called fixed axis which is available, friends, okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to click on this fixed axis. So as soon as I click on this fixed axis, can you see a symbol, a bell pin kind of symbol got appeared here. So assume that I need to see the profit, which is, assume that I need to see the discount which is offered more than 50%. So in that case, what I will do, I'll remove this profit and sum of sales from this view. I wanted to see the discount only, okay. So I'll remove the remaining things, whatever which is not required. Now I click on this fixed axis, friends, fixed axis tool, okay. I click on this. As soon as I click this, can you see a bell pin kind of symbol came here? It is showing me, once I hover my mouse over that, it is asking me range of this axis has been fixed, double click to edit it. So I'm double clicking here. Can you see here, as soon as I double click this, it is showing me a range there. So from where this axis should start and from where this axis should end. So there I'm saying you start from 50%. Okay, you start from 50% and you show me all those products that has been offered discount greater than 50%. Within this range, that is from 0.5 to 0.84. That is my last range. You just show me that data alone. So this fixed axis can be used for that purpose, friends. So it basically shows me the list of all products which have been offered more than 50% discount. So these are those. You can see like the discount is 0.7 and here it is 0.7, 0.7 again here. Like that, it displays me all those products which are having discount greater than certain value alone. So you can make use of this fixed axis for that purpose. Okay. Someone wants to show this once again, friends. If you are not clear, I can show this once again if required. Okay, hope everyone got this. So if you don't want to fix this by that, you can just remove that and automatically all discount values comes by default. Okay, you can just click here and enable, and you can double click here so that it goes there, and you can enable the fixed axis. So this is what you can do, friends, using the fixed axis. So you can set the range here, and based on the range what you have set, you can basically take care of this. Okay. And this part we saw sometime before. Yes. So Lab is asking, can we apply fixed axis for multiple columns? Yes, Lab, you can apply fixed axis for multiple columns. For example, here I just had sum of discount alone, right? So fixed axis can be applied only for measure fields, okay? Assume like I have a quantity also. So I'm just double clicking on my quantity, I'm double clicking on my sales. Okay. Now I want to apply this fixed axis for multiple columns. So what I'll do, I'll just uncheck this fixed axis and I'll say I want to apply it for all columns. So I'm unchecking everything and I'm clicking on fixed axis. Can you see now? Now my fixed axis, I can double click individual columns here and I can basically set my quantity. I wanted to know how many orders which have more than 10 quantities they have ordered. That alone I wish to see. And in sales I wanted to know which is having a sales greater than like 50,000 units or 100 million. Sorry, it is 23,000 only is there maximum. So I'll keep it as 10,000. More than 10,000 I wanted to see. More than 1,000 I wanted to see. Okay. Or 10,000 I wanted to see. Those items. So I can just have this same fixed axis for multiple columns also. You can have it fixed. Okay. That's a very good question, Lars. So what is the difference between fixed axis and a filter? Okay. So for a filter, for example, the same thing I'm just dragging, instead of putting it in a fixed axis, friends, what I will do, I'll just put this in a filter. So the sum of discount I'm getting, I'm putting it in a filter. So as and when I put it in a filter, I'm getting a filter dialog here. So saying what I need to do. I need my sum of averages, sum of this values. Okay, I'm clicking on sum and I'm clicking on next here, friends. So here in filter, this fixed axis is very similar to a filter, friends. But the only difference is when you are adding it as a filter, you get some more options like range of values. You can specify some range of values here, which is very similar to fixed start and fixed end. And you have something at least. So at least is nothing but like at least I wanted discount to be greater than 0.5. And at most is something like you can set maximum value till what you wanted to have it. Or you can have some special values written here. So you can remove something additionally. So this is also nothing but this fixed axis is very similar to a filter. However, in a filter you can have more options. But in a fixed axis it is just only few options which is available. That is just fixed start date, fixed end date based on whatever values you are selecting. So this is done at a logically, it's a column level, this is done for a fixed axis. Filter is done something at a filter shelf level. So always in Tableau, friends, you can perform the same thing in more than one way. So Tableau always gives you that option, that one particular thing you can do it more than one way. So this might be useful for us whenever we are dealing with certain things where you do not want to add a filter, because at times you might not want to add a filter directly, you would like to have fixed axis. So even that point of time you can make use of this. Or if you would like to have it as a filter itself, you can make use of that also. Both are one and the same. But filter gives you more customization. That is the difference. Is this fine, Lars? Okay. Okay, friends. So now we will wrap it up quickly. We have few more minutes with us. So these are the data types what we saw. So based on whatever source what we have, the data type differs there. So for example, if an ABC symbol is put on before a particular dimension, in that case it would be a string value. If a date values are there, it will come with a date symbol. If it is a date and time, it comes with a date and time. If it is a numerical value, it comes with a hash symbol. And if it is a Boolean value, Boolean means true or false values. So we will create it in a calculation and see how to create a Boolean values. By default, we cannot set this. This has to be done something using called calculations. I will show you how to do that. And there is something called geographical values. So this is basically used with maps. So we saw some geographical values for us, like country and city. These things we had a geographical value. So we will be using that with maps mostly. Okay. So these are some of the fields, friends, what we have, and these are the data types there. Okay. And so when coming there, friends, whenever I'm saving my work, so Tableau gives me different extensions for saving my data. Okay, there is a question from Manikandan. Can we say filter makes change to the SQL query with where clause, whereas the access change only to display info and not the query? Absolutely, Manikandan. That's right. So the filters are basically going to affect the SQL query change there, but in access it is going to be more of a visualized level. So on a visual display alone, the filter is applied in an access when you are applying. The same thing is getting applied at the query level when you are applying a filter. That's true. That's right, Manikandan. Okay. So, so when I'm saving this particular workbook, friends, there are various formats in which I can save this workbook. Can you see here? One thing is called TWB and other one is called TWBX. Okay. So what is the difference between this TWB and TWBX? The only difference between this TWB and TWBX is, friends, when I'm saving this workbook, for example, let me show you something what I'm just saving this workbook somewhere, okay? Under module 1 dataset itself, I'm just going to save this workbook. I'm just having a name given, and I'll go here. I'll go to the part where my module 1 dataset was available. So I'm just going to this path. I'm going to save this workbook as TWB format, okay? So I have saved this workbook now. So after I'm saving this workbook, I'm just going to this location, I'm going to click on refresh here. Can you see what is happening? It is just saving my workbook in .twb format. Okay. Now what I'll do, I'm going to send this file to you in an email. So assume that you do not have the sample superstore with you. If you are not having the sample superstore.xls file with you, you will not be able to open this workbook itself. So here what I mean is, unless until I am having this particular file with me, this workbook will not be opened at any cost. You cannot open this workbook. Okay. Now I'm going to see the size of this file, 3304 KB. Okay. Size of this file. And so this workbook size is 68 KB. Okay. Now you see the same workbook size. I'm going to save this again. I'm going to save as, this time I'm going to save it as TWBX format. The same file I'm going to save it as TWBX format in the same location. Now you just see this file, friends, what is there. Can you see now? TWBX file size is 1198 KB. This size is 68 KB only. What is the difference? So this file is nothing but, like it will look like a zip file, friends. like a zip file format. So whatever data what you are seeing it here, this will have the connection information also. So when I'm trying to send this file to you, if I'm sending this TWBX file to you, it will have the connection information also saved along with the workbook. However, the TWB format, Tableau workbook format, does not store the connection information. That is why the file size what you are seeing, it is very low in a normal workbook. In your, it's just 68 KB in your TWB workbook. However, this is like around 1198 KB. The reason is this is going to be like a zip file which has a copy of this data and a workbook copy also. Both these put together, it gives you a first.twbx. So that is why the file size is larger, and this, the format name, if you see, can you see the type here? It is Tableau packaged workbook, and this is Tableau workbook. So packaged workbook is nothing but a connection information will also be there here. So that is the only difference there. You got it, friends? That's what is given here. TWB contains information on each sheet dashboard is present in a workbook. TWBX, it contains details of workbook as well as the local data that is used in analysis. The purpose is to share with other Tableau desktop or Tableau reader users. The main purpose is when you are sharing anything, you can use TWBX. Okay? That is one thing, friends. And there is also something called TDS, Tableau data source. So Tableau data source is nothing but the connection, whatever you are saving it, that will get saved by default. So there is a Tableau repository under your My Documents. So under your, wherever you have installed Tableau, there should be a My Tableau repository should be available for you, friends. So you should be able to see My Tableau repository like this. So under My Tableau repository, there is something called data sources, and there you should be able to see something called TDS, Tableau data source. So Tableau data source is nothing but the connection what you are making. Can you see here TDS? So this is having a sample superstore.tds. It's nothing but your data source. So whatever you are connecting here, that gets saved in the under that location. So this data source, this order table, what connection we established, that gets saved as a TDS format. So that's what it is. So, okay friends, I think I have exceeded our stipulated time there by 5 minutes. So I think, so this is what it is. The details of the connections used to create a Tableau report are stored in this file. The connection details such as the Excel or relational or SAP, as well as the data type of the columns, like kind of a metadata information it stores. So from tomorrow, on tomorrow we will see about other file types also. There are a few more types and some problems, and we will work on the cross joins. Okay, I think by tomorrow we will be able to wrap on this particular module. As this is slightly a bigger module, it's taking some time for us, and it's going to be the first time for you to learn Tableau, so I'm just going at a bit more slower pace. So let me know, friends, if you have any questions or any other suggestions or feedback, please feel free to type it here only to me. I can take appropriate actions based on that. Okay friends, I think we can stop the session till now. I think we'll continue again tomorrow. So if you have any questions, please keep me posted in my email, or you can always type in your feedback to me anytime. Okay friends, thank you Samir, and thanks, you have a great day there. Thank you everyone. Thank you, Jayashree, Hasini, Sagar. You have a great day. Shantini, thank you. You all have a great day there. Thank you, Manigandan, Kalpana. Thank you, friends. See you all tomorrow.